Hello all and welcome to a brand new Parry's Pickups. Thanks for joining us today. So what have we got? Well, I've been playing a lot of The Sims recently. The original Sims is perhaps one of the greatest games ever made. Just because it's so well done and it's so involving and so enjoyable that I haven't been able to get enough of that lately. So I've been playing that, but that's a game I already owned. I have, however, we'll just mention this briefly because it's quite cool to know this, that if you are interested in playing The Sims again, you know, maybe the original, it's a very affordable game to play. As with a lot of PC games of that era, or a game that is as popular as The Sims is, it's quite cheap to get into. So I had the original Sims. I also had this expansion, Sims House Party, and because back in the day I installed a friend's copy of The Sims and installed their copy of Living It Up as well. So when House Party came out, I bought that myself, and then all I needed was a House Party disc and I could play the game with all the added extras. So recently, I don't have access to a copy of Living It Up anymore. I added the Living It Up to the collection, so I've installed that one, and it's fun to have a few more options at your disposal because The Sims is a game, the base game, you could get a bit tired of after a while, because once you've reached certain goals and you've purchased certain items for your household and you've got good jobs and such, then you know, you kind of, what is there next to do? You can do it all over again, or you can add a bit more to your game. So Living It Up, install that one, and that's keeping me amused for now because I didn't want to go all out and install everything at once. So House Party is next to install, but after that, and I got these in a little bit of a bundle. I got Living It Up, as I've mentioned previously, Hot Date, The Sims on Holiday. Actually no, on Holiday came separately. Sims Unleashed and Sims Superstar. On Holiday I bought extra. I think this was 99p. It's otherwise known as Sims Vacation. But of course in the UK we call vacations holidays, so that's hence why it's called that. And so this little bundle came here at I think about £4.50, and that was, I think, with postage included. So these 4 expansions. So it's a very affordable game to get back into. So that's The Sims, and I just wanted to mention that briefly. So often I talk about PC games or Mac games, because I was very interested in playing The Sims 2 and seeing what that adds into the mix. And I'm actually pleasantly surprised, well, not surprised, but just happy with the extra additions to this game. This is Sims 2 for the Mac. I play this on my older Mac Mini, and it's a great game. It's all in 3D this time around, which was initially quite jarring because the camera obviously becomes a lot more important at this point, because you can view the game from various angles, and it's finding the angle that fits you. Also, initially I had this set at some of the lowest settings because I wasn't sure how well my Mac was going to handle it, because this is an older machine. But then this is an older game, so I bumped up the settings and soon my Mac can handle it fine. So that was nice to know. I enjoy things like being able to talk on the internet. You know, this game updates The Sims into a more modern era, and some of the other more peculiar limitations of The Sims are improved on here. And The Sims age, which is interesting because The Sims have lives. It also starts off with an interesting little bit of backstory into what happened in The Sims mythology. So if you remember when you start the original Sims game, it talks about, well, you didn't talk about it, you meet families that are already pre-made. So you can choose either to do that family or to create your own family. So these families have now become part of the Sims mythology, and so you see where the Goths are at this point, the Goth family. And that's all quite kind of cool because it lends that nostalgia factor. Something that isn't quite as good in Sims 2 is the music. I think the music in Sims 1 is wonderful, absolutely fantastic, and it's a classic game soundtrack, especially the music that plays where you're in build mode. Some of the best piano in a video game soundtrack, I'd say. Not quite as strong in Sims 2, which is a bit of a shame, but this definitely improves on the core gameplay, for sure. And so I was tempted to try out the console version of Sims, having previously only played the console version of... Actually no, I played the console version of Sims 2 and played a little bit of Sims 3 on PS3 because my girlfriend's got that one. But I hadn't played the original Sims, which is here, for the PS2. Very affordable game again, it's going to cost you next to nothing. You know, it's very intuitive for a console version of The Sims. Without too much instruction, you can pick up the controls very easily. It creates a situation for you and throws you into it. You're a guy living with their mother at the very beginning. And it starts off in a very fancy situation, turns out to be a dream, and then you take over and you do the traditional Sims gameplay as you would in any other Sims game. Doesn't feel that same level of freedom, doesn't feel as open, but it really does have more freedom than you might expect in this game. So for a console port of The Sims, I think it had to be done a little differently, and how they managed to you know, come up with this is very good, and I think it's a worthy addition to any Sims collection, as is Busting Out, which I decided to get on the GameCube because I don't have a Sims game on GameCube. Now I've got one on GameCube, PS2 and Xbox. So this is very similar to the original Sims on the PS2, but it seems a bit more streamlined and a little bit faster, a little less clunky. It's a good improvement over the original. There are a few more things you can go out and do there. You can leave the house as well, so that's quite cool. 16 new locations, including a nudist colony, a dance club, military command centre, and more. Same as Busting Out, hence the title, Busting Out. Any more for any more? Well, yes. Because I've picked up Taito Legends, the original Taito Legends, which includes such classics as Space Invaders and Bubble Bobble, with their standout ones, of course. Operation Wolf as well. I'm trying to think of ones that are most well known within this particular collection. Rastan, yes, is on there. And it's a really nicely, lovingly presented collection of Taito games. Some of the conversions aren't perfect, I wouldn't say. I was playing Bubble Bobble and something felt a little bit off, maybe in the music department, the speed of it maybe. It certainly was playable. Initially it forces all the games into widescreen, but you can change that in the options menu. So if you want to experience games in original format, then be sure to do that. But this is very nicely done, and seeing that I had Taito Legends 2 on the PS2, I decided to pick this one up for the Xbox. And the green packaging lends itself very well to the packaging format of the original Xbox. So that's Taito Legends. Happy to add that to the collection. And we'll finish off with another... what should we finish off with? Another Xbox game. We'll go for Worms 3D. So I'm a big fan of Worms. It's one of my favourite game series. Another one of my PC favourites along with The Sims. And when I first played the 3D Worms game, I think that was Worms 4 Mayhem, which was considered the pinnacle of 3D Worms. Since then it's had an Xbox 360 release, PS3 release, where they've managed to improve upon that original game, which was already an improvement upon this game. Basically, Worms 4 took that formula that's created for Worms 3D and just refined it. So in a similar way to the Sims there, you know, the busting out, refining the formula that was laid out. Not changing the game, but just refining it. So it makes Worms 3D still a very playable game that uses that same familiar system from Worms 4, and it's a lot easier to play in 3D than I initially thought it was going to be. When I first played the 3D Worms game, I thought, how is this going to work? I played Hogs of War and, yeah, okay, that worked, it was fine, but Worms felt to me like a game that should probably remain in 2D. But Worms 3D proves that it can be done, and I think Team 17 did a great job with this game. It's not as full as many options as Worms 4, so if you're going to pick up one of them, get Worms 4 for certain. But me, being an avid collector of Worms games, I had to pick this up. I've already got it on the GameCube. This is how heavily I am into collecting Worms games. And you may see in some forthcoming videos some more Worms games popping up. But as the sun is not my friend at the moment, I'm going to leave this episode there. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon for another Parry's Pickups. Bye for now.